Podcast 442. Today we have a special episode with people who are living in Estonia, who are speaking as well Estonian a bit, but we decided to do it in English because we have serious topic today. It's a football. Welcome Ross, welcome Neil. And I shall ask you, what are you doing? What's your roles? Because I'm afraid I'll mix up something.
Okay, so Neil Finkton. I've been in Estonia since 2019. I work out of the British Embassy, representing the Ministry of Defence of the UK as the Assistant Defence Attaché. That
sounds like a very serious job, to be honest.
It is quite serious, yes, yeah, especially with the current climate. But it's a rewarding and it's couldn't think of a better place to do it in Estonia. Fantastic.
Last political question to you: is there? If I would ask details of your work, you probably won't be able to share, right?
I can, yes.
Okay, then it's okay. Then it's not that serious. Ross.
I'm Ross. I'm the UK ambassador to Estonia, and I've been here since June 2021. Arrived June a year ago.
So more than a year.
Yeah, right? 18 months, that sort of thing. And really enjoying being in Estonia. It's fantastic.
Okay, I hope you can share the same words about our football later on. But
of course.
We'll see. Before we take some football stuff and etc. Well, anyway, right now it's World Cup, right?
Yeah.
And I propose to start from World Cup straight away, because England is there still.
Yes.
And I have many questions about that. But my main question is, football is one of those sports where there are England, Wales, Northern Ireland, that kind of question.
And Scotland.
And exactly. Scotland as well. Yes, not to forget that. First question is why, and are you cheering for these equally, or how is it or maybe it's a personal question, I don't know.
So I have to have a crack. I think it's because all of those countries were playing football early on when football was quite new, and they always played as England, Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland. So then I think FIFA later agreed that they could carry on doing that. So they got an exemption, I think, because they were already set up, and they used to play each other quite regularly as well. So FIFA didn't say, no, you have to make one team.
But then there's Olympics where suddenly you're united.
Yeah. So I think the Olympics has different rules.
Okay.
They do, yes. Yeah. And each country has its own football association as well. But bizarrely, Wales have got their own football association and also have Welsh teams playing in the English pyramid.
This is something really, really interesting in my opinion. But how is it a division in in the Britain that when they Wales played against England, it was a harsh derby, or how it was?
So we also, it's important to say Wales were at the World Cup too, and certainly as ambassador here, I support all four. So I've been to watch Wales here against Estonia and Northern Ireland, and also Wales women against Estonia women, and I go along as ambassador and support all of our home nations. I'm quite lucky because my family, I'm a mixture of English, Scottish and Welsh. I don't have any Northern Irish in me, but I'm a bit of a mixture of each. So I have relatives who were from each, 3 of the 4 countries. So that sort of helps, but I would happily support all of them. Okay. But often it is true, when England are playing when England are playing France on Saturday, there will be quite a lot of people in Scotland cheering on France.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Welsh.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it because is it a political tension, or just a big brother, we just wanna make a fun of them or something?
Very patriotic countries,
Okay.
That's the way it is, and outside the Olympics, then it's the rivalry is pretty fierce.
But on Friday, I guess, is it on Friday?
Saturday.
It's on Saturday, actually, yeah. Is it do you feel it's a big game for England?
Yeah, I think it's huge. I think France are so far one of the best teams in the competition. And I think, looking at the odds, the bookmakers, I think France are slight favourites to beat us on Saturday, so we need to play really well. So yes, really big game.
So
we don't play them that often as well, I think.
That's true, yeah.
That's true, yeah.
But this is, I think, English media, English people are always getting so excited when England beats 1-2 opponents. It's always it's coming home.
It's always coming home.
Yeah. Of course, the last European Championship was so close.
It was nearly home.
Yeah, it was always home, but then it slipped away.
Yeah.
How about now? You obviously follow this media as well, I guess. What's the tone of voice right now?
quietly confident. They recognise that France have got 2 or 3 really world-class players. You know, the Mbappe's and Griezmann's, and maybe it's not Giroud, but he's a good goal scorer. So it's and he's now France's leading goal scorer ever. So it'll be a tough game.
Yeah, I think people in England particularly get like too negative when the team have one bad game, and maybe a bit too positive when they have a good game. Like we're always either about to be like world beaters, or we're all dreadful. And it's the same with the manager. Like if we have a game where we're not so good, people are jumping on the manager's back, like he doesn't know what he's doing. And then when he plays well, picks the right team and they play well and we win, like the other night, then suddenly it's all brilliant. So we just need to calm down a little bit and be a bit more balanced.
I think Woodgate has a very harsh work. It's like he's under the loop all the time.
Southgate.
Oh, sorry. Woodgate was a footballer.
He was?
Yes, he's at Middlesbrough now, on the coaching staff with Michael Carrick.
Yeah, so yeah, Southgate, sorry. But
Pinky's our expert on all Northeast England football.
That's great. But my question here is that even here in Estonia, I think there's the biggest, like the majority of foreign football lovers, they follow English football, club football as well, but even on national team level, everyone cheers for, like, not everyone, but majority cheers for England. And even here, people argue quite a lot, like, is this Southgate a proper coach or not? Yeah. I don't know, guys, like he basically achieved final in European Championship. He is now in quarters, which is quite okay result with okay quality game. I don't know. Still, there's so many critics about him.
My view is he's got a really good record as England manager, and he's a really good bloke. And also, he used to play for Palace. So I'm a Crystal Palace fan, so I'm sort of biased because when he was young, he played at Palace, and he started off as a midfielder. And then when he went to Villa, he ended up playing central defence. But like I think most Palace fans still like him. So I think he's great.
Yeah.
But I don't know, you might feel a bit differently.
No, I rate him as well. Yeah, rate him very highly.
All right, so big game. I think it's this late evening game as well. So
yeah.
It's,
Estonian time, 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
So
how do you deal with this after coming from UK when now those Champions League and those later games are starting later? For me, it's like when I have visited UK sometimes, and then out of sudden on a weekend at 10 p.m. there's no games.
Yeah.
The evening is over for us. Like
yeah.
the best games are starting. So how do you feel?
I quite like the Saturday 5 p.m. Estonian time UK kickoff, because then you get the whole day. Yeah. And you manage to do stuff with your other halves and family, and you don't quite get it in the neck as much as when you have to be home for 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock to watch or listen to the football on an evening. The late kick-offs, sort of, if it doesn't go your way, can play on your mind, and you're up till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, your phone's going crazy. Or if you win, then it's okay, and you sleep easy.
Yeah, that's for me as well. Champions League games end at basically at midnight.
Yeah.
And then you have to wake up early in the morning next day, but especially if your team playing or you're inside of the game, I think it's quite hard to bear.
I've done it before. I tried to go to bed. I'm not going to bother watching. I'll go to bed, and then invariably you're like checking your phone, and it's like I could be watching this properly on the TV, but instead, like someone with headphones in, so I'm not keeping my wife awake. So I'm like sat watching it on a little screen with headphones. I'm just like, why don't I just go downstairs? No. But you said that people in Estonia often, like some of them, cheer for England. My experience last year at the final, like England-Italy, was there seemed to be a lot of Italy fans.
Yeah, that as well, yes.
In Vabaduse Valjak. So it felt like there was about 80% Italy fans and about 20% England fans. So I don't know why that is.
There is some sort of community. Probably all the Italian fans just came out. I don't know. There is like Italian football lover community. That's true.
Yeah. But I love it when I go around Estonia. I love meeting people who support like fairly unusual teams in the UK. So you obviously meet Chelsea and Arsenal and Liverpool fans and stuff, but it's quite fun. So the other day I did an interview on the radio, and the guy's wearing a Bolton Wanderers scarf. So quite like meeting my first Estonian Bolton fan. One of my friends here in Tallinn is a big Newcastle fan. So it's just nice meeting people who support different teams.
Yeah, I know a couple of Newcastle fans. I think one of the main YouTuber hosts is Newcastle fans. So greetings to Thomas Vara.
I haven't found a single Palace fan. So via your podcast,
actually,
I want someone, if anyone is a Palace fan in Estonia, to get in touch.
Let's do. We're on YouTube, so all Crystal Palace fans just leave a comment.
Come and find me.
Ross will find it.
I will buy you a beer if you exist.
But there was a guy I used to work during my college, like university times, at one of the places, and there was like he claimed that he was a Crystal Palace fan. I don't know if he actually was, so maybe this guy will find us.
I'll give him a quiz though. If someone just claims to be, I'll check. I'll have to ask them lots of Palace trivia and find out.
Where UK ambassador in Estonia will watch this game on Saturday?
I think probably with some colleagues in, Pohjola tap room.
Oh yeah.
There's another little Pohjola that they opened in Teleskivi. I can't remember the proper name of it, but it's like the second bar of Pohjola. So I think one of my colleagues has booked a table there, so I'll probably go down and watch it. We were thinking about doing an event of some kind, like with the French embassy and with loads of external guests and stuff. And for different reasons, that hasn't happened. And I'm quite happy, because if we do that, I basically have to work and go and talk to people. I can't really watch the game. So for me, it's actually quite fun to just go to a bar and watch it, normally having a beer, watching on a TV with my friends.
Do people recognize you in Estonia?
Once or twice, not much.
Okay.
Once I did.
You're not that famous.
No, I'm not. I did a TV show called Homik Anuga.
Oh yeah,
which
I
is
know
on
that.
in the morning.
Yeah,
It's quite well. Lots of people watch that. So after I was on that, someone came up to me in Selva and was like, "You were on TV." I was like, yes, I was. And I was at the Open Air Museum, and there was a group of quite elderly ladies visiting, and one of them came up and said, "Oh, you were on TV," and then she wanted to get a photo, which was a bit weird. So, but very rarely, I would say.
Okay. Let's leave that on that topic. But you mentioned your Crystal Palace connection, probably from a childhood, right?
Yeah, my dad was a Palace fan. I would say my first game was, I think it was Charlton 0, Palace 0, and I was hooked. So who wouldn't enjoy high quality football like that? But yeah, I've always been a Palace fan. We've had sort of ups and downs. I've been through 2 administrations, basically gone bankrupt twice. Now is probably the best period we've ever had. Like the last few seasons, or quite a few seasons in the Premier League. It's going quite well. We've got good players, quite a good team. We're sort of mid-table, so that for us that's good. So I'm quite happy.
How much of the matches do you actually get to see?
I used to, when I lived in London, I had a season ticket. I would go every game. Now, if I'm lucky, 1 or 2 a season.
Okay.
If I'm going back to the UK, I don't think, or maybe I could time it around when there's a Palace match on. So I'm going back in February, and I'm hoping to go and watch Brentford against Palace.
All right, that's a clash.
At Brentford, exactly. Which I'm sure everyone in Estonia will be glued to.
Fantastic match.
Yeah.
So, Ross has spoken a lot now.
Sorry,
Neil.
I'll shut up.
No, that's not true. But Neil, you have even more interesting connection to football. Your Gateshead FC, what is it? Where are they playing? Your microphone is yours.
Okay, so Gateshead Football Club is my club. That I've supported all my life. The first game was a 5-5 draw, and I'm led to believe I fell asleep. My grandfather took me to the games in the late 80s, and I've been a season ticket holder pretty much ever since. Back in 2000 and early 19, the club was in trouble. It had been purchased a couple of seasons before by Hong Kong Indian businessman and an Italian American who was a bit of a criminal. And basically the assets stripped the club and ran it in the ground like a pair of charlatans. So it was very close to extinction, about 72 hours. I was part of a fans group, although I was working abroad before that, and I came back to the UK and I was helping out in the background, and it was a very complicated situation to try and purchase the club through fans and through a consortium, and I got asked if I would after several failed attempts, if I would come in from the outside and negotiate the purchase of the football club from these 2 guys, and they successfully sold it to 2 people at the same time, which made it even more interesting. I then managed to get the other person to come on board as part of the consortium, and he's still a shareholder. And since then, the title of chairman has stuck with me on a volunteer basis. And it's been challenging. It still is challenging, takes up a lot of time. They say it's 90 hours of work for 90 minutes of football, and a club with resources of ours, that's definitely true. But yeah, we just had a very successful last season, promoted effectively at the first attempt after a COVID-ridden couple of years. And we were relegated season after we took over due to the financial irregularities of the previous owners. We could have dropped down 6 leagues if we'd fought the charge, but we didn't. We decided to take the deal before we went into the hearing.
This is like a movie scenario,
Yeah,
right now.
yeah.
Hollywood movie scenario right now.
So we took relegation 1 level. It could have been if we'd gone in there and rolled the dice. The FA said afterwards, Neil, you did the right thing. There was 3 of us there. There was the late Mel Steen was their solicitor, who's since sadly passed, but he said, Neil, you really need to take this deal. The 2 guys I was there with, who one was the other 2 people that were purchasing the club, or part of the consortium, they said, no, let's go in there and fight it. And they had a lot more experience than I did in football. I made a couple of phone calls, listened to some other people, and decided to take the deal. Come out of the hearing, and the guy said he did the right thing because he would have ended up 6 leagues down.
So on which level this
So we're now at step 5, so the one below the Football League. So we've got the likes of Wrexham, with the Hollywood A-listers, and Notts County, Chesterfield in our league.
So you are like the Ryan Reynolds of Gateshead.
Unfortunately, yeah.
But this is actually why this story and this club is interesting in the sense of our podcast, because probably if you compare, I don't know, fan base, the level where you play, you can relate it to basically Estonian league of football, technically.
Very much so, very much so.
Because like the resources here are low, quality sometimes is also very low. There's no money here as well. So how your club like surviving, on which funds, how do you like...
Survives on fumes, month to month, hand to mouth. We have some small central payments. We're a full-time professional outfit. We have a skeleton backroom staff, full-time coaches, full-time players. When we came at the club, we didn't have anything, so we've now got a ladies team, men's fully professional, academy 19s down to under 10s, which has grown, and we're going to duplicate that with ladies next season, hopefully. And that is a source of income, sponsorship, match day tickets. Previously, the football club, the only income it would derive outside of sponsorship was through the concessions. Sorry, not it was match day tickets, and the council, the local authority, took all the income from running the concessions. We've since managed to broker a deal, and we now run that as another source of income. Your question, yes,
But this is all those small wins which you achieved, right? Which together is like a big job. It's like coming from enthusiasm, from like
yes, exactly.
Basically from the love to your club, right?
Exactly. Yes.
If that wouldn't be there, probably there wouldn't be any Gateshead.
How big's your stadium?
It holds 11,700.
Oh, that's not bad.
But it's an international athletic stadium, but it's a bit of a white elephant at the moment. So.
Do you own it, or it's like
no?
It's a
tenanted, leased from the council.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's been back in the 80s you had Simply Reds, AC/DC, Brian Adams, Rod Stewart. Then in the 90s you had Jonathan Edwards breaking records, Safa Powell 100 meters.
Wow.
That's
cool.
great.
Yeah.
You have something at least, right? Some infrastructure and stuff like that.
Yeah, our biggest asset is the players, that we've sold in sell-ons.
You sell players as well?
Yeah.
Do you have any partnership with bigger clubs, or you just okay?
No, we have relationships and networks. We've recently appointed Rob Elliott, who was at Watford last, and he left there early and came to us as a technical director. Trying to take us on to the next level and growing that network and relationships. Yeah, so we have good relationships. We're straddled by Middlesbrough, Sunderland, and Newcastle. So, but there's quite a lot of surplus of youngsters there, which we are in a good position to pick up and develop, and that's our model really. And we've sent a few players to the Football League recently, which is pleasing. That's how we survive as well.
Yeah, that's cool. What's the future? How you see it, or like this level right now? Is it okay, or you wanna kind of grow, develop?
I think with anything, if you want to be competitive, so there's no point in just trying to be mediocre. We want to try and get back in the Football League. It used to be a Football League club in the 60s, and prior to that, the structure was regionalised football leagues.
Just for our listeners as well, Football League is like Premier League, Championship, League 1 and League 2.
League
These
2,
levels,
yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So before the Premier League, when there was still football,
Yeah.
you had
These were times, right?
Yeah. No TV. There was Division 1, Division 2, Division 3 and Division 4. Before that, 3 and 4 used to be regionalised, so you'd have a north and a south.
Palace used to once play in Division 3 South or something, a long time ago,
right.
like when my dad used to go. So they'd also let Palace work their way up. Sorry.
Yeah, and the system for relegation it wasn't just you were bottom 4. You could be in the bottom 4, then reapply for re-election. So it would go to a vote to the other clubs. How flawed could that be? Yes.
United Kingdom people,
Yeah.
they're just like voting. That's what I think.
Yeah, so in 1960, we were the first time that we ever finished in the bottom 4 and reapplied for re-election. We were voted out, and that's when we went to non-league and the club folded eventually.
I think now it's a bit more not democratic, but more fair, I would say.
Yeah. But let me tell you, we are undefeated against Liverpool. Okay.
And how many times have you played?
Once.
Are you participating in the FA Cup this year?
Yes,
Or
unfortunately we were knocked out, so we have to
Okay.
play a qualifying competition. We played one game and we won against Altrincham, who are now a league in a replay. And then in the first round we played Stevenage, who were top of the league above, and unfortunately we were beaten 3-2. So we gave a good account of ourselves, yeah.
All right. I know that those cup games are very big, like boost for lower clubs.
They are. Last season we managed to get to the second round and were televised against Charlton Athletic. Yeah.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
Even here in Estonia, in Estonia, because there's not many teams, so the basically first round of the cup is open draw, so everyone can get everyone. Well, except now they changed it, except teams playing in European cups. So you can get anyone from the first round.
Yeah. You get massive mismatches.
Yeah, there was like 36-0 or something like
good.
that.
Yeah.
Well, it's good and not so good probably.
It's quite fun.
It's just fun. I wouldn't watch that game, but for the participants probably it's a good chance. So that was the only time when I played at this national stadium. So my team was in the on a fourth league. So we played against Flora actually.
Wow.
So that was
What was the score?
5-0 actually, and it wasn't that
That's
bad.
all right.
I scored an own goal, so there's a video of it, so I can say it's every podcast. So I scored at the national
You've
stadium.
scored a goal at the national stadium. It's amazing. Yeah.
Okay, but everything you say is still, I'm coming back to this, it's very related to our poor Estonian football. And I'm very interested just to see, I imagine if something similar happened to any clubs in Estonia, like foreign investor would come and cheat and, whatever, nothing would happen. So there's obviously historical, let's say, bond between fans and not players but club. I'm just trying to understand what our clubs, what our people working in clubs could do to improve this community thing, because it's something which everyone talking in Estonia. Let's build this community. Let's start building football. But what should we do? Like on your example, what are the first steps in that?
Okay. We established or re-established. This is how bad the previous owners were. The league wouldn't allow them to have a trust, a foundation, a charity, to run it, and there's funding that you can draw on. So we have one of the first things we did was re-establish a foundation, a trust, and we do a lot of charity work and outreach within the schools through that, and that's how we tried to
so
build
you're already going to children, right? To showing. Yep. Well, you're doing obviously charity as well, but you're showing you're on the picture and schools. I don't know, kindergartens or whatever, right? Yeah,
and of course the goal is to try and get them to come to games, but primarily it's to reach out to underprivileged children in the area and give them something that they may not necessarily get. And we were in 5 or 6 schools. At the moment, we have a dedicated community liaison officer and a trustee of board, which are all volunteers. And actually, Ben Clark used to play, who's our ex-captain, used to play at Sunderland with Mark Poom.
Oh, all right. Yeah. That's a good fact. Have you met Mart Boom here?
I did, and I was watching Noma United. We're looking at a couple of their players, and I had a meeting with Martin. On his wall he had a shirt from his Sunderland time, and he was like, "Look at the names," and there was Ben Clark on the
Nice.
team photograph. Yeah.
That's a really good story. What else about Gateshead? I had something, but I forgot. Okay, when it comes up, I will ask again. But how much you guys do know about like Estonian football in general? I know before the air you said that you met Ragnariga recently.
Yeah, I met Ragnariga last week. I had lunch with him. It was great. And we talked mostly about football and a little bit about his dancing. But mostly
his
about
dancing
football.
was terrible, but football is
Aw.
okay. Well, okay, he actually improved a lot, but those meetings, because I noticed that you have met Konstantin Vassiljev, I
Yeah.
think, and a couple of players, maybe, or maybe not. But
Those are the two that I've had
Yeah.
sort of proper meetings with.
okay, are you the initiate there, or?
Yeah, one of the things that's nice that you can do as an ambassador is, I mean, you can always ask and say to them, would you like to go for lunch? And they both said yes. Konstantin Vassiljev brilliantly said yes, even though it was his birthday. So on his birthday, he had to come and have lunch with me. And then one of my friends told me that Konstantin Vassiljev was vegan. So I found a vegan restaurant. And we got in and we ordered the food, and I was like, I'm glad that I found this vegan restaurant. And he's like, I'm not a vegan. I'm not even a vegetarian. But he said it's nice food anyway. So we had a nice meal. And when I gave him a little present for his birthday, because it was his birthday.
I hope it was also vegan something.
No, it was a bottle of English wine. So I gave him a present, and he gave me some nice Flora presents. But it was really nice to meet both of them. Like they both played, 100+ games for the Estonian national team.
And of course, they're still playing.
Yeah, exactly. He's still racking up more caps. And also, I think he's such a fantastic player. I told him I thought he was the Estonian Paul Scholes. He's got this, he's really good with the ball. He never loses possession. He sort of sees passes. He's just really tidy and sort of makes the midfield operate.
And like Paul Scholes, probably he will come back as well. He can be 1 year without professional football and come back,
Oh, right.
and he'll be still at the same level, right?
Well, I think he's signed up for another year. I think for next year for Flora. It's
yeah.
brilliant. It's also quite heartening if you are of a certain age to see someone like him at his age still playing really good level professional football. It's quite inspiring.
Do you visit Estonian national team games here?
Yeah, well, like I said, I went sort of officially.
Oh, those I know. Those against the United Kingdom teams.
Yeah.
These doesn't
I think
count.
I've seen Estonia against someone else. I can't remember off the top of my head. But I've also liiga. I've been to see Flora, Levadia, Paide. So when Paide had their run of European games,
okay.
I went to several of them. So they're playing Tbilisi, Yerevan, and Anderlecht.
You
So
went to Pärnu?
twice to Pärnu.
Oh, right.
We got a good routine, go to Pärnu, Stephanie Pizza, watch Paide, win on penalties, drive back to Tallinn. It was great. Loved it.
Did you take Neil?
I didn't go, no.
But I went with our defence attaché who works with Neil, and his son and another friend and his son. So it was a group of 5 of us went down there, and it was great. It was a lot of fun going to watch Paide. So I've also seen Klavan play for Paide.
You know what? There was funny thing about those Paide games when they beat the second team on the penalties. They played this home game in Pärnu. Then they had on the same weekend they had home game in league, which they played in Paide, and then the next home game was against Anderlecht, which they played on A Le Coq Arena. So they had 3 home games in a row on the different stadiums in different cities.
It's a great pub quiz question, potentially. Yeah.
I think some random fact to remember.
Yeah, I thought they did really, really well as well. It was great watching them. I got the impression in Pärnu that some of the fans were sort of real Paide fans, but also people who lived in Pärnu just came out and supported because it's like an Estonian team doing well in Europe, so people want to come and watch. And the stadium in Pärnu is lovely. This Ranna stadium.
Especially during summertime. Of course.
Yeah, got the beach there, and it's really nice.
Do you tend to attend any league games, like local league games? Yeah.
Yeah, the first game I ever took my kids to. So I took 2 of my kids to their first ever football match, which was it was Flora. I'm trying to remember who they're playing. Kalev. It was Flora Kalev.
Oh my God, you're just killing their enthusiasm in the beginning.
No. Flora won 2-0. I think that game.
Was it this here in autumn?
In the A Le Coq Stadium, and it's really because the 2 kids that I took are 7 and 5. So I think if I was in the UK, I don't know about you, I wouldn't take them to Selhurst Park to watch Palace if they were 7 and 5. because there's 25,000 people and it's really noisy and it might be a bit much. But actually here it was nice because it's easy to get in, easy to get out.
So what you want to say is Estonian league is good for young children to
get their first taste of football, maybe.
That's interesting.
Usually
Usually they say that it's better if you feel the atmosphere in the beginning, no?
Well, they still did. For them, it was a lot of atmosphere. They liked it because Daddy was shouting. They got really, really excited because I started getting, encouraging the team. And I'm like, oh, like our dad's shouting. He doesn't normally do that. So they thought it was fun. Obviously you have to get them shirts and stuff. So they now have Flora shirts. And they have decided to be Flora fans.
Good. Yeah.
Do you go occasionally? You've been to watch Numma?
Yeah, Noma Kalu and Noma United. Yeah.
Because you live somewhere in America.
My girlfriend lives in Noma, yes, but I've met the owner a long time ago of Noma Kalu, and obviously the links with Mart at Noma United. So yeah.
But what do you think, guys, about like Estonian football in general? How do you see it from coming from England's United Kingdom, this football system, football pyramids, this society which talks about only football, and coming here, which obviously it's not number one talking topic here. But what do you think about this?
In my 3 years, I've seen it get stronger.
Really?
Yeah,
okay.
Especially at the younger years when you watch the second division. There's some really good young players there, and I know a lot of them have been scouted by top European clubs as well. So I think that's promising.
I really like it. I think the only thing I noticed is that it seems like generally the same one or two teams will come top each year. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, but then you could argue that, I guess, about English football. Like sometimes you have a period where one team is quite dominant. But I did notice, particularly with your women's league, that like the Flora women's record was ridiculous. Like they won every single game, and they had like 130 something goals scored and about 8 against. So it was like they won every game by a ridiculous margin.
Yeah, they have lack of competition, that's true.
Yeah. So maybe they need to only be allowed to play with 9 women or something. I don't know.
Or 2 touches only.
Yeah, exactly, or something. Yeah. Obviously there. But I think that's happened a bit in other leagues as well. When women's football is getting going, sometimes it takes a while for clubs to develop and so on. So
it's actually very funny that you mentioned women's football, because here, considering our football is very young, and for us, like it gets it doesn't get that much of attention compared, obviously, to England, where it's blooming. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's like professional league there. They're having great salaries. Well, relatively great salaries, right? So
But you play other sports, because you beat us at basketball recently, and you have Tanak, you have like fantastic rally drive, and you've got good tennis players, and the 2 good female tennis players and others. And people here do skiing and other things that we're not very good at.
And we played as Great Britain, and you beat us.
Oh really? That's Great Britain.
Wow.
You beat the whole country.
Well, in Estonia there's like once we win something somewhere, we are this nation. Like now we have this rally guy for past 4 years. Now we're a rally nation, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. We won a medal in fencing.
Everyone loves fencing.
Yeah, we're a fencing nation, so we don't have that stability in this sense.
Be flexible. It's good.
I think it just shows how probably the young after retaining this independence after Soviet times, I think it just shows how we're just looking where society is trying to find its ways. That's it, I guess.
I think also the model can be, like other countries have done really well in football with quite a small population. Iceland is the classic example. Like Wales have just been at the World Cup, and I don't know, the population of Wales is not that big. So there are.
Yeah, but you're so close. Not you, but Wales is so close to the English football system. I think it's quite easier for them to push young players to an upper level, I guess.
Yeah. I think just a really solid effort over time, and they had a couple of good managers. And I know the chief exec of the Welsh Football Association because he's married to an Estonian.
That fact actually came during one of the World Cup matches. One of the commentators.
Yes, he's called Noel. He's Irish, but he's the chief exec of the Welsh Football Association. He's a really nice guy, and he visits occasionally. He's really sound. So I think a lot of the credit goes to him and the coaches and the people that have put a big effort into getting Wales to the level where they are now.
All right. You said, well, we were talking about visiting league games, and we are playing, like, our climate is a bit more harsh as well.
It is.
We are playing from from the start of the March and until the middle of November, and I think next year they will play until the December even.
Wow.
So we're all, like, a lot of people, me including, are not blaming, but we are kind of pushing Football Union to improve the infrastructure, to help improving infrastructure before we actually play that long. So how do you feel? Actually, it's a good question to Neil as well. The infrastructure, like, should we kind of push this? Should we, I don't know, give more funds to this area rather than, I don't know, maybe TV broadcasts or something like that, like to push this, like to develop infrastructure? That's my question. I have talked so much, so I missed everything.
Okay, sorry, what do you mean infrastructure? What the
stadiums, the facilities, all that.
I think it's if there's a need, you know, if there's
Would you go?
If the demand's there, then, you know, I love watching football, so I'll go and watch any game.
So you would go to Gateshead even if they played, I don't know, on a cow field, right?
You've probably been to some fairly bad stadiums in your time.
Yeah, there's some fantastic stadiums where there's no segregation. You get the toilets outside, you know, no cover.
Oh, that's Portland Arena.
So that's Portland Arena, but yeah, it's. I think there's some good stadiums and good pitches. I think they could be better. Yeah. But to encourage more people to attend, I think when you've got a country which is 1.4 million and a top league of 12 teams, is it? 10 teams.
That was first mistake.
First mistake, then it's difficult. I think it'll be difficult, yeah.
All right.
I just recently went to the Kadrioru stadium and I was extremely excited to go there because it is the site of the famous One Team in Tallinn episode where the Scotland team turned up and they kicked off, etc. You must have covered it a lot on your podcast. So I was like,
not in podcast, but everyone knows the story.
Yeah. So I was taking loads of photos and I was like, I have finally made it to where the One Team in Tallinn happened. So that was quite cool. I got quite cold. You do notice occasionally you think I'm going to watch football in Estonia and it's like -2 and you wear what you think is enough warm clothes, but it's not enough if you're just sat there not doing anything. So that game, I took my kids to that as well and they started to complain. So after about halfway through the second half, my kids were like, Daddy, we're really cold. Like, please, can we go? I was like, no, 10 more minutes. Give me 10 more minutes. I got them hot chocolate and we stayed long enough to see the goals.
All right.
That was 1-1.
Yeah, I remember. Then the red card for...
the coach.
The coach got the red card.
What did he get a red card for? Because I had no idea.
It was a strange story, but actually the coaching staff of Flora, they watched the replay on their mobile or I don't know, the electronic device, and then they said to the fourth official that, sorry, you made a mistake or something like that, and that was considered as there was a point in the rule that you cannot do that or something.
Yeah.
Wow. So he got the red card. So he missed the final game where Flora got the cup against the White. Well, he was still in the stands, but he couldn't coach the team. Yeah. But in Estonia, even if you miss it, you can go to stands and shout. You still can.
Still hear. Yeah. It's nice as a fan. You can communicate directly with individual players and have a chat.
Not the best for players sometimes, but it's also what I like about Estonian football, which is not, I think, probably applicable to Gateshead, but not. You cannot imagine it in Premier League. That's like fans and players are very close, like top league. You can actually, know a lot of players, and you just can easily go after the match and they will just cheer you or something like that. Yeah. I think it's very important in some small cities like Narva and Pärnu, I think.
Yeah, I don't think it's good.
Play fan.
You probably have that as well.
Yeah, quite a lot. Yeah, all them,
they all live nearby.
Yeah, the all local. Majority of them are local lads, so I'm more than happy to chat and talk with the fans and I told you Vanarama. How do you pronounce it? Actually, the name of the league where Gateshead is playing. The National League.
The National League. So you're not playing in the National League. So do you have different divisions in the National League? So
there's a National League, and then below that is a regionalised league. So you've got the National League South and National League North. Yeah.
So let's call it National League. It's easier for me. So, as I said, National League is very similar to Estonian top division, to be honest. I think like the funds, the level, the closeness between fans who exist and players.
I would say so. Yes.
How many players are actually coming to your games?
Players or
fans?
We average just under 1,300 this season.
Okay, that's not bad. That's not really
It's
bad.
better than it was, yeah.
And now I remember one question which I wanted to ask you. Obviously, young generation now, they prefer like Liverpool, Man City, Man United. How do you fight that tendency?
You can't fight it, you've got to offer something different. That's
But what can you
try.
offer at Gateshead FC home games? What can you offer?
It's cheaper for starters, you know, more affordable football, that interaction, closeness to the players. You know, Gateshead isn't is an affluent place. There is a lot of deprived areas, so you know, a bit like parts of Estonia, where we offer something that people can see that they wouldn't normally get to go to a live game.
Sometimes like fans of Newcastle or Middlesbrough or Sunderland, if their team's away and it's a long way away, they might come and watch Gateshead instead occasionally.
Okay.
So it's not completely exclusive, I think. Yeah.
Do you have nice pie at your stadium as well?
We do, yes. We have a very good Dixon's Pies, or our pie sponsor, and they make fantastic.
How much
pies.
do they cost?
I think it's about £2.50 a pie.
Oh, that's wonderful. And you can drink beer as well?
You can drink beer, not in the stands. Last season we could, but since we got promoted, one of the rules are that you can't drink beer in the stands.
This is something which I don't like about English football. You cannot take a beer. Complete opposite to Estonian football and German football, for example. You cannot take a beer to the stands.
I watched Estonia versus Wales, and I was with the ultras, and that was an experience. Drinking a long drink, it was one of my first experiences in Estonia.
All right.
Yeah, it's nice. It's not like quite relaxed here. I think they know that nothing bad's going to happen if a few fans have a few beers while watching the game. It's like, what's going to happen?
I don't know. it's a question to Premier League.
When I meet Estonians who are going to visit the UK and want to go and watch football, I always say to them, like, don't. Like, some people are like, oh, I have to go and watch Liverpool because I've always wanted to, and it's like fine. But on the other hand, I'd always recommend going to see like teams a bit below that because it's often, I think, more fun. So even in the Premier League, coming to watch Palace, I think, is more fun because it's like the
secret commercial.
salesman. But the atmosphere is really good. Like we have quite an old stadium. It's not very fancy, but the atmosphere is really, really good. So even if you're going to a Premier League game, it's quite fun to go to Palace. But also, just like I've got friends who support like Leyton Orient, York City. So I've gone to watch them in sort of lower leagues, and it's a lot of fun. It's cheaper. You can have more fun, and often the atmosphere is better. So I always recommend people to sort of try different levels.
Probably,
I took my girlfriend's Estonian, and I took her to Sunderland versus Sheffield Wednesday, full house, 44,000, director's box. Sunderland got beat, but it was full house. And then the next day we went to Gateshead's final game of the season where we lifted the trophy in front of 4,000 fans. She was able to drink wine in the stand. And after the game I said, how did you think? She said, it was much better than watching Sunderland.
Very good.
I think it was just the wine.
Ross, have you ever met president of Estonian Football Union?
Aivar,
yes.
I have, briefly, a couple of times. When England played Denmark in the Euros, I went on TV here. With Ayat Suvari, she was the host.
Yes.
And then Aivar
she was here on last podcast episode.
Oh, cool. So she was hosting it, and I went on and chatted to her ahead of the game on TV, and he was one of the pundits. And before I was chatting, I had a bit of a chat with him, and then I've met him I think once or twice at other Estonia games and things like that. He seems like he's a sort of legend of Estonian football. Like he's run the FA for quite a long time.
Quite a long. Yeah, I know it's a new concept for United Kingdom people, but he has run for several years. I've been a leader for several years. How do you feel? Because there is, he's a very, of course, charismatic person. That's for sure. But there, as much as friends he has, as much as opponents he has, because he has been for so long, and obviously our football is not like. It's improving. We cannot argue with that.
Yeah.
But often the argument is that others are improving better. So that's this evergreen discussion.
So first of all, I'm a diplomat, So I'm trained in the art of not answering questions like that. So, but I also genuinely don't know enough about it. I don't really know. I don't know. I hear people say that investment in facilities is good, and like lots of towns now in Estonia will have an indoor practice pitch, which is quite important. So some of that stuff's important. But who do you measure yourself against? If you're Estonia, at what level? Like, what's your like realistic level of aspiration? What do you want? What level do you want to be at? And which teams internationally do you think you should be beating?
I think it's it's a good question actually, because it's very simple to compare to other Baltic countries for at first, right? Yeah. And at least we are better than them in a sense that there is a mess in their organizations.
Okay, yeah.
But I cannot say that we have a better results. Yeah. I think we're more or less equal at some. Well, 1 year is like Latvia is better, the other year we are better. Yeah. So in this sense, we're more or less equal. But where like Estonian fans want to be, obviously we are realistic, and we don't expect being at even being at World Cup. I think it's unrealistic. But being able to play football against teams like Slovenia, I guess, something like that. Yeah. So
you had this playoff. You told the story of your famous against Ireland, like Republic of Ireland.
Yes, 2 red cards in one game.
2 red cards and 4-0 or 5-0 or something.
Yeah.
That was a disaster.
Yes, I think
it's a shame, because that was, I guess, the closest you've ever been.
Yeah, and
you had this like golden generation.
Absolutely, yes. Kostja was one of them, and he's still.
Yeah.
But the problem, and it was back then there was only 16 teams going to Euros. So if there was 24 teams back then we would qualify actually.
I sincerely hope that you do soon. Although it's probably not going to happen while I'm here as ambassador. But I'm also desperate that like the next draw for the Europa League and the Europa Conference League includes. It'd be great to have some British teams come out here in the sort of group stages of that or something. That'd be quite fun.
We used to have some Wales teams, I think. Last year, Levadia played against Welsh.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken.
TNS.
Something like this, yes. So we used to have some like Northern Ireland teams as well at some point. Yeah. Of course, not Premier League teams, but But Levadia used to play against Newcastle, also quite legendary game.
Yeah.
They beat Levadia here 1-0, and it was 2-1 in England to Newcastle. But it was
reasonably level.
It was good generation they beat, I think it was Twente from Netherlands back then in the playoff, so that's not bad. Yeah. And obviously Flora played in this conference league as well.
Yeah, my favourite example is when you look at the population of places. So Paide, I think, as a town, has about 8,000 people, and they beat Tbilisi, that has 1 million, and Yerevan, that has 1 million. So it's like a little town like Paide has beaten 2 cities that have 1 million people.
Technically, all the players are located here and they train here. They just go, technically, but still, in this sense, it's a nice story.
It's pretty impressive, I thought.
So by the end of this episode, anything from your heart, football related, what would you like to share?
Well, the biggest thing, I guess, for me would be to get Palace to somehow get to sort of 7th or something in England and get a European spot, and then draw Flora. So I would like to go and watch Palace Flora at some point. So we have to see if we can make that happen. Or I try and talk to the Gateshead could come out for pre-season.
Yeah, that'd be great.
It'd be quite nice to see Gateshead doing their pre-season out here as well.
Yeah, that'd be good if we can avoid relegation.
It's a bit touch and go.
It will be. It'll be close this year.
The problem is that we have the opposite logic of the season, right? Because for you, summer is pre-season, and here summer is like during
middle of the tour. Yeah, middle of the season.
That might be a difficult one, but if some team will come here, probably we'll find a spot. We'll make sure.
Certainly look at it and fly from Edinburgh.
Yeah.
But it's funny you mentioned Crystal Palace. So Crystal Palace is like everything around Crystal Palace is more important than English national team. I hope to say like England will win the World Cup, but.
It depends what choice you're being offered. Who get offered like your team to win this or England to win that? I would take. So Crystal Palace have never won anything. We once won a competition called the Zenith Data Systems Cup, which only existed for a couple of seasons and no one's heard of it. That's our only trophy. So I would take Palace winning anything ahead of England winning something.
All right.
Or Wales, Northern Ireland, Scotland. I would much rather see.
Can't say England.
I would say personally club first. But I obviously support my country and all 4 of them, and be there on Saturday night cheering stuff. But for me, like Palace is a bit deeper.
Neil, same answer probably.
Oh yeah, I would take survive this season, stay up, and next season the third round in the FA Cup against a Premier League team, which will then set us up for a few years and allow us to develop further and do more.
Okay, I think that's fantastic end words for this podcast. As a YouTuber, I need to say subscribe to our channel. With me today was Ross and Neil. It was fantastic. Thank you very much, and I wish you all the best.
Thanks for having us. Suur aitäh.
Thank you.
Thank you.